business. It's business time. Hang tight, we're gonna get into the business right here in a couple minutes. Baby, baby. It's business. It's business time. All right, we are here with week 41 of It's Business Time, and we're joined this week by Lenny Williams, author, poet, director. Thank you so much, my man, for coming through today. This is awesome. I got a chance to look through a lot of your titles, which you brought with you,
Yes.
which we're going to get to in 1 minute. I can't wait to leaf through some of those. And your website, too, is beautiful, man. I really
Appreciate that.
enjoyed going through. I'm excited to get into this, learn a little bit about your process, a little bit about your journey. Before we get rolling, I do always want to give a quick shout out to Stitch House Brewery for having us. Stitch House is right here on Market Street. They always have 12 beers on draft, great food. They as well are a small business, so if you find yourself in the Market Street area, stop by Stitch House. But with that, we're rolling. Lenny Williams, joining It's Business Time. Thanks again. Let's jump in with the books here, right? Because when you bring swag, when you bring when you're repping products, I always want to talk about them. Tell me a little bit about them. Let's go through one at a time here.
Yeah,
so first we got
that's Asha. Asha, the Princess of Matana. That was pretty much inspired by like Disney movies and Disney fairy tales that I watched as a kid, like Aladdin and just seeing Toy Story and other things. I just wanted magic in my story. Basically, have you ever seen Coming to America with Eddie Murphy?
Oh yeah,
and how he
one of my
comes to
favorites.
So he comes to New York City to find a wife, basically, a princess for him. Yeah. Well, it's a kid in my story named Jamal who's in college. He leaves New York City because he wins a trip to Africa to a magical country called Matana, and he finds a princess there, and he helps her find a power that she never knew was there to help save her kingdom from like evil spirits and stuff. But they eventually fall in love. Yeah.
And so this is like a young teen. Like what age would you say is this one good for?
Yeah, this is ages 8 through 12. So I say middle grade fiction is what they call it. Yeah, middle grade fiction.
So we got Asha. We got The Loner and the Goth. This is the one I probably read the most about, and that's a hefty book, man.
Yes.
I'm excited for this.
Yes.
Nice.
So that one right there was inspired by all 80s horror films. So I used to watch the AMC Horror Fest as a kid, watching Freddy Krueger, Friday the 13th, Halloween. So I loved all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to make a film like that, so I wrote a script that eventually I want to pitch in the future.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much about a young high school kid. Both of them are in high school. Heaven and Evan Locklear, and then Evan Chambers. They're in high school. He's a loner, she's a goth, and he finds out she's a witch and everything. They pretty much link up because they relate to each other and they like each other. But since her family has a lineage of witches, they also have enemies, and you figure that out in the story.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love the cover. Did you do the cover art? Or
No. So I hire all my graphic designers and illustrators, but
that's cool, man.
The guy I wanted him to make it look like a VHS.
Yeah.
And it looks like
and it does.
Yes.
It does. It looks like a late 80s VHS.
Yes,
That's awesome.
yes. Yep.
And it's got the thickness too of VHS.
Absolutely.
And slide that right in.
Right in the VCR.
Nice. All right, and now we have
She's Divine.
Yeah.
So that's a romance story. I was inspired by like the Notebook inspires a lot of my romance stories.
Okay.
But the Notebook, and then also my magic, Lenny's imagination touch to it, and pretty much it's a guy who falls in love with a ghost.
Okay.
And what happens is he goes to different spirit dimensions, and she takes him there as he astral projects. They kind of fall in love with each other, but it's hard to make the relationship work because he's alive and she's dead.
Right,
and so I haven't seen a story like that, and I wanted to make one like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
I once fell in love with a ghost as well. I fell in love with a real woman, then she turned into a ghost.
She turned into a ghost. Uh-oh.
All right, and then the last one here, we got A Rose for Rose.
Yes. Now, quick question. Have you seen Lil Dicky's show, Dave?
I have.
Okay, all right.
Season 2, he's just on 2 seasons, right?
I believe so,
yeah.
Yes.
I'm all caught up.
I got you. So you've seen Dave. Have you seen Donald Glover's show, Atlanta?
I have, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So with these two guys there, they inspired me a lot when it came to comedy. And then also I wanted to do something where I was also throwing in like eroticism, like how a lot of women like 50 Shades of Grey and stuff. I said, you know what, let me see if I could do something that kind of hard to do.
Meets in the middle. Okay.
Meets in the middle, you know. So and then also like I know you probably seen Superbad, the movie.
Yeah.
So a lot of scenes in here are funny, and then you got some stuff for the ladies too. And it was an experiment to see if I could add comedy and love. And so I threw myself in it.
I was
gonna
say, you're the model for this one. I like that.
Yeah, I threw myself in on the cover, man, because I wanted
excellent
to. Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
And for those watching, you know, the cover graphic for this video, that was a great photo too, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
You're looking right into our souls.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That's
so comedy is one of my favorites, man. Like I also like Curb Your Enthusiasm. You know, so I love putting things in there, and a lot of my male characters in my previous stories, I noticed that they didn't really have any flaws. Right, so I wanted to give my character a flaw, a rose for rose.
Well, yeah, that's what's interesting, because it's a small business podcast or series or whatever. You know, like obviously the books are works of art, right? But they're also your product, right? It's also something that you create for the world to consume.
Yes.
And to kind of see that journey as, like you say, your earlier characters, they didn't have enough flaws. That's like maybe like a toy not being relatable to kids.
Absolutely.
And then as you watch kids play with it, you make some tweaks, adjust it. That's real interesting. And that's really, I mean, you know, I wanted to start off with the books just because it's such a diverse kind of, you've got such a diverse offering as an author. And I wanted to jump right into it rather than, talk to you about like, hey, where did you grow up or whatever, and then get there later. But, we'll touch back on these for sure as we kind of go through. But because, again, like this is a series for, a lot of this is a series for people who are thinking about doing something like this, or starting their own business, becoming an author, becoming becoming like a product developer, things like that, and they don't really know where to start. And I want this series to kind of show people that it's like you can just start. You don't need to wait for things to be perfect or funding or anything. So in that vein, like, can we go to the beginning? Like, have you always wanted to write books? Like when you were growing up, like what kind of got you on this path, and what were those early days like when you realized, I think I have what it takes to get the books finished, right?
Yeah. So I had two situations. One was in fourth grade and one was in college. So in fourth grade, my teacher, Miss Winchell, she had a fun book project, a creative writing project for my classmates to do, and we all were in different groups. So groups of three. One of my two classmates that I was in a group with, they both could illustrate really good, so I got lucky. But I couldn't illustrate to save my life. Yeah. Still can't. So.
And what grade was this again? Sorry.
Fourth grade. Fourth grade, yeah. So I said, hey, if you guys illustrate the story, I could write everything out. If I write it out, illustrate the scenes. And so we made a book called Good versus Evil. It had Superman and Freddy Krueger on the cover fighting each other. So I just got a whole bunch of superheroes versus all the villains you could think of. Wow. Yeah, so like Batman fighting Michael Myers, everything. And I think in the ending, because I went to a Catholic school, I finished it off with Jesus beating all the villains. Yeah. And she loved it.
Yeah, it's a fan favorite.
Yeah, so she was just like, you know what, you should be a writer one day, blah, blah, blah. And I was 9 years old. I wasn't, that didn't really stick to me, but I was glad that she loved what I wrote. Yeah. And then, time went on. I kept hearing this stuff from teachers throughout fourth grade up to college that I was a great writer. And by the time I got to college, my professor, he knew my major was criminal justice, but he was just like, I could tell your real passion is writing instead of wanting to be in a criminal justice field. Right. Me, I was just looking for a safety net based on what my parents also wanted for me. Like to make sure that I had the income instead of taking a risk of being in the art world. Right. But once my professor told me that, I knew I had to take a leap of faith. Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's funny. It's they should tell kids more often about that, like the art path and the safety path. Yeah. Because that makes a lot of sense, actually. A writer and then criminal justice as kind of the down the line thing. I have parents come to me all the time like, hey, my kid's getting good at music, blah, blah, blah. Should they take lessons? Should they do this? And I'm like, what they should do is get really good at marketing. Because that's what music is, right? Yes. It's half as talented as you are, but most people aren't going to be discovered by Usher on YouTube like Justin Bieber, right? Most people are going to have to basically do marketing for 10 years until something works for them. Yes. And so I can really identify with that whole, like, you want to be an artist, that's a path that you want to go down, but you also have to, you have to respect the investment that our parents put into us. Yep. and what they want as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you're in college, you have a lot of people, you're in criminal justice, you have professors still saying you're a great writer. Did you start with short stories? Did you start with poems? Did you jump in with a novel? Like, how'd you kind of...
I jumped in writing a script. So,
Okay.
I wanted to write a script to pitch to Disney and DreamWorks, and it was called Paradise. And it was almost like Peter Pan's Neverland, where these kids escape to a new world.
Okay.
And I never... I made it into like a small children's story later on, but first I was a movie script.
Yeah.
And then after that, I jumped into doing the children's books first because I wanted to see what it was like. I know eventually I wanted to make novels and stuff like that, but I had to start somewhere. So I YouTubed a lot of things and found out you could just type things up on Microsoft Word, go to a site called KDP, and then you go publish it yourself just to see what the results would be like. Yeah. And as an author, self-publishing, you're building your resume that way. And then I say, hey, then you could try traditional publishing if you want to.
Right.
But, yeah, for me, it was building my resume up that way.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it definitely worked. The having the completed product, the physical product, it means a lot. I know a lot of people kind of, they start down that path and halfway through, and this is me too, like halfway through, I'm not happy with it, or I'm not thrilled about it. I lose the joy halfway along the way. Yeah. And then next thing you know, like years go by, 4 or 5 years go by, and you have this, I have a Google, I call it my Google Drive graveyard. Where
Google Drive graveyard.
Yeah, the Google Drive graveyard, where I'm like, one day I'll get back to that, but no, that's cool. And so you just you started with a script in mind. You were pitching. Did you grow up around here, by the way?
Yeah. I grew up in Wilmington. Yep.
Okay,
I was born
nice.
at St. Francis Hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I grew up by Salesianum High School all my life, so yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know it well. I grew up right here on Broome Street.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, we're basically neighbors.
Yeah.
But yeah, and what's funny about Delaware, what's cool is that it's small enough where there's a lot of connections, there's a lot of resources, but it's also big enough where, people can plug you into New York or LA or plug you into DC or Baltimore or whatever. So, the sky's kind of the limit, but this is a great, like, kind of testing ground, pretty supportive community, arts and music community. But yeah, so let's get back to, so you're writing the early ones, screenplays. Did you pitch that at all? Did you get to the stage? Did you get a chance to get in front of anybody with that?
Oh, yeah. I definitely, so I pitched, a script called Asha, to Disney, and that didn't pan out. I could tell that, and I was pitching like a lot, and this is when I was 23 years old. My ego was huge, and then I didn't kind of want to hear anything from anybody. So like when you're young like that, you kind of really don't know the business, and you're just going strictly off energy. Like, oh, I'm great, I could do this. And so I was pitching my things to like USC's writing camp, whatever. I think it was USC something, but. It was. I pitched to their students who was in the film world. I pitched to a lot of animators. But before I knew it, I seen similarities that was coming to Disney. And I'm just like, looks like that's kind of taken or whatever, like certain concepts. But I realized that in the art world with music, movies, it happens to everybody.
It does.
And it's just like one of those things where it's like, okay, now you got to learn how to tighten up your business first. Tighten up how to make sure it's yours. And then figure out who you can network with and try to figure out how to work with major companies where it's just like, all right, now you got lawyers and everything involved. So it was a learning process.
Yeah, if I could talk to my younger self, I would have said it's better to own 25% of something with a lot of value and a team behind it than it is to own 100% of nothing. Because that happened to me. I had a handful of opportunities when I was younger, but I was like, no, I don't want to share. I don't want to share this. This is mine, and either you see my vision or you can hit the road. And I wish I could go back and talk to that guy, but do you mind getting a little, because you're in a world that I feel like a lot of people they dream about getting to, and they get in their own head. They don't finish their book, or if they do finish their book, they don't publish it. If they do publish it, they don't pitch it. Can you tell us a little bit more about like that actual process of pitching the book?
Yes.
Did you study, did you have like a practice pitch and you get ready and you
Oh yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to pitching, right, that's called first querying your it's called a query letter. And what you do is you query to literary agents.
Right.
And that's in the traditional publishing field. So with self-publishing, you don't have to do that, but querying, I definitely want to do that. I did that once with a a Christmas children's story. I got rejected, of course. But in the world of art, you got to build up and get used to rejection.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So I'm used to that, and so, but I also still want to get accepted one day because I got one more book to work on before I dive deep into just doing film, and that's it. So, but yeah, querying, and you write a letter to a literary agent, and you tell them what your book is about. And it's probably just a page.
A page or so,
and then once you write this page about what your book is about, they will then ask you, okay, cool, I like this. Can I see a manuscript? And if they like it, then that's when they do their job to get it to a big publishing house like Simon & Schuster, Touchstone, Macmillan, HarperCollins. Yeah. But if they don't like the letter you sent them, then they just say, hey, sorry, you're just not the right fit for me. So that means you got rejected. So that's how, but I recommend that everybody try traditional publishing and self-publishing, you know, to see what both of them are like.
Yeah, back in the day, I submitted a lot of songs to songwriting competitions.
Okay.
Never won any. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't regret submitting it. Yeah. Because had I not submitted them, I would have been like, well, I could have won had only I. Well, now I know. Like, I got work to do on my songs. I need better bridges. I need whatever it is, you know. And it's a learning process. And I think a lot of times artists get caught up with not wanting to monetize or sell out, so to speak. And so it's easier to not submit or to not send those letters and not face rejection than it is to send it and have someone say, I couldn't get through the first 3 pages or whatever. Like, you know, your writing's chunky. Here's 3 workshops I would recommend you taking. See you in 3 years type thing. Like, that's brutal. Yeah. But, you know, as long as you're eating well and you're semi-healthy, like, you'll be here 3 years from now, you know?
You're still going to be here. Keep working on that craft.
Yeah, you know? That's cool. So, well, I don't normally ask, so how old are you now? How long have you been doing this? Is more the question. So you started writing at 9. How long have you been writing for?
So when it came to actually getting the work out there and starting it, I started at 20, and I'm 30 now, so it's been 10 years. Gotcha. Yeah, 10 years of writing. And
man, you're 30? You were aging well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think I get it from my parents, and you know. But yeah, so yeah, I'm 30. I'm still working on everything I want to work on. Like I said, I got one more book that I'm working on that I'm actually going to pitch to a literary agent. But after that, I'm working on a documentary from my old school called Pinkerton Charter. It shut down years ago. But I'm working on a documentary about what happened to that school. But you'll be seeing me a lot more when it comes to film and me making short films. And so I like writing my own scripts. Yeah. And like I said, I like being the man also telling the camera guy what to do. Because that's one thing. I watched the show plenty of times. I'm not a great guy that can record and know about sound and all that stuff, but I do have a vision. But I need somebody on the team that knows what they're doing when it comes to camera work, sound, and everything. It takes teamwork. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to tell you, I don't know what you have planned after this, but I have a little break in between when we talk and when I play some music. And I need to drop some stuff up at Theater N. If you got time, we should walk up there. Theater N, Andrew Larison, got to give a shout out. They were a guest on this pod too.
Awesome, okay.
And it's all about networking, connecting, right? That's a great place to display short films. And, you know, just getting that introduction, sometimes that's all it takes. But speaking of which, you know, we ran into each other this last weekend. Got to give a shout out to Matt Myers and Reggae in the Park. We ran into each other down there. Absolutely incredible festival that's held by the Delaware community. Was that in Glasgow Park?
Yeah.
And
we seen each other. And then he handed my friends flyers and everything. doing your thing. You're working, you know. So that was awesome.
Yeah, that's the behind the scenes world. Like, you know, people are like, oh, you're good at this. And what they don't know is it's street teams, boots on the ground, talking about the local arts scene. Yeah, that's where I shine.
I know that's right, man. I know that's.
But
right.
no, that's cool. So let me get one more deep question in here, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about the books, how people can find you, all that type of stuff. What's next? Because a lot of this series like I said, it's about people trying to overcome their own barriers to get into that space where they light up. You know. And so when you look back on your writing career, was there a moment where you were down, right? Writer's block, or maybe you got rejected, or maybe you thought something was going to work out real well and it just did not. And you said to yourself, like, I'm on the wrong path. And then what did you kind of do to get through that moment and get rolling again.
Oh yeah, because as artists, we have not only the art problem, but then personal problems too, right? So let's say reality is. I'm not liking the way my story is going. I'm 150 pages in, and it's like, oh, this story sucks. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, relationship just went bad. Now I don't got my girlfriend anymore.
Right.
And so it's like, all right, how am I about to function?
Right.
So now my story is bad. I go ahead and delete the story. It's a true story. I'm just like, okay, I don't like this story anymore. 150 pages going down the drain.
Whoa.
Yeah, just like that, because I'm like, it's not going to do anything. I'm not liking this. I can't resonate with it. And the way I was feeling before was helped me get that story out there. But now I don't connect with the story anymore. Yeah. But then a new motivation kicked in, like, okay, I'm not going to give up. And I got to thank my dad a lot for that, because my dad always pushed me growing up. Right. So it was just like, you can't give up on this. You can't give up on that. Now, if you do stop this thing, you better come back better. So, so for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to delete this story, but I'm going to make an even better one. And so that's how I always overcame these obstacles. Right. Yeah, it took me back to the days when my dad had me in football and boxing and stuff.
Right. Yeah. I can relate for sure. It's that tough love where it's like, it's okay to fail, but it's not okay to stay failing. Yes. Turn that around.
Turn it around.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. 150 pages. And I'm thinking that, and that kind of lends to another question, like in your process, do you write in big bursts, or are you like a 2 pages a day minimum guy? Like, I've heard all different strategies on how to like get books done. Yeah. Like what's like your flow style? Like,
it definitely varies. So it could be like two pages a day sometimes, where I'm just like in a neutral mood. Yeah. But it's other days where I'm like I'm just like kind of like hyper. Right. And it's a big burst. So like somebody could say like it's since I'm at Aries, like my birthday's in April, it's Aries energy, anything. But it's just like I think I'm just a guy on a mission. So when I'm on a mission and I feel like something is flowing, I'm on go. So. You ever watch like E.T. on Steven Spielberg made it? The scene where Elliot is riding a bike and all of a sudden it take off. Right. When you first seen it as a kid, like you just get goosebumps. Yeah. That feeling right there when E.T. takes all those young men on the bikes and they're flying in the air, that's when I'm on a burst. Like I feel like that. So when I feel like that, that's when Lenny's gonna write a good 30, 40 pages in a day. I love it. Because I'm flying.
Yeah, that's great. I'm the same way. I'm a burst guy. Yeah. When I'm on a team with people who are consistent folks, they're consistent, I'm burst, man, that's always a really good blend. But that's cool. No, I can definitely respect that. I like the third person. That's when Lenny's gonna write 30, 40 pages, because you're almost out of body at that point.
At that point, you are, man. At that point, you are. You're flowing with it.
That's cool. Yeah, man. Well, I want to keep these digestible. I can tell we can talk about like the process for a while. That might be a whole different podcast, just artists and what's your process like, right? Yeah. But before we go, I want to make sure. Let me grab some of these. I want to make sure everyone can find you. So, what's the best way for people to find you? Is that website, Instagram? Like, what do you prefer to be reached?
My website. It's like my own world. So, Lenny'sImagination.com. You can find all my books. You can find all my interviews. My short films are going to be on there. My documentaries are going to be on there. And so, Lenny'sImagination.com. You'll see everything you need to see.
Lenny'sImagination.com. Also, too, I forgot to mention, he signed these. Yes. So the value, we might do like It's Business Time auction one day to raise money for like inner school kids who are writers,
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
We'll put these up.
That's perfect. I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. No, I love it. And honestly, like I'm a reader, man, and this is the season, right? Like you go out in your yard, because every day around noon, I'll just go out, try and get some vitamin D, and just like pop on some sunglasses and read. So I'm definitely gonna get into these. But again, Lenny'sImagination.com. Yes, check them out. Local author, definitely someone you want to link up to if you're in that space. And Lenny, man, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been awesome. I can't wait to just kind of see where your career goes, to the next steps and everything. Keep me in the loop, man.
I got you. I definitely will, man.
Awesome.
You.
Well, that does it for week 41 of It's Business Time. Appreciate y'all hanging out, and we will see you guys next time.